Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. Now, when you think about how things work, think about the Freemasons and how they're like college fraternities. And so are the police and the military, right? It's like a college frat society in terms of their behavior. It's variations of that, like American Pie. Hazing, right? Hazing is an immature idea. Why is it a tradition in the military? And do you really think that law enforcement is more mature than the military? Um, so you see them kind of goofing around, laughing, what have you. Generally speaking, they're either in a demonic kind of state or they're laughing. And so it is, when I recorded this Jeep that said Sergeant something on it by Safeway the other day. It was 3-4 days ago, or whenever it was, or it was 2 days ago or something. It was before the shooting, before I was made aware of the shooting. And the guy's name in the shooting, I believe his name was Robert Card, right, which is very similar to the word car. And, you know, basically my older brother has a friend named Robert. I've known him, for quite some time. My older brother knew him way before I did. And long ago, I was dating this female named Vanessa, and we go to some apartment complex she used to live in. We're in the pool or whatever, and this guy that looks dead on like him before I ever met him, he shows up with some kind of female with him. And to make a long story short, Vanessa was like talking recklessly, right? And so then, nothing really came of it, right? I kind of, me, I'm the type of guy that kind of smooths things over, like in a lot of cases, right? If I don't really feel like, hey, there's no reason to kind of argue with people, I mean, it's not like I was afraid of the guy. The guy was a little guy, what have you. And so, I'm like, okay, just no, they're good, right? Where she's kind of like, well, I'll kick them out if you want me to. And I'm like, no, they're good and so on and so forth. And they're kind of acting weird about it and so on and so forth. But anyway, later on, I see this Robert guy, and he has a girlfriend that looks very similar to Vanessa, right? And I think that at first I might have even thought it was her. But, when that occurred to me, I was like, wow, okay, why did that happen, right? And so later, he drives a vehicle that's similar to that Jeep that was at the store. Oh, and it's like a military Jeep. And keep in mind, they causing ringing in my ears right now. They do that often where they cause ringing in my ears, and I have to roll down the window, and then I get fumed. And I have witnesses to the fumes. I have several witnesses to the fumes. That's established. Okay. And, obviously I don't have any witnesses to the ring in the ears. Okay. And they try to make it seem like someone's mentally ill. I mean, this is exactly what you expect the government to do, Look at what they did in COINTELPRO. So not everyone the government says is mentally ill, right? We see it with the Rosenhan experiment. We see it with the Martha Mitchell effect. There's a long history of the political abuse of psychiatry all around the world, but especially here in America. America has one of the most prolific and pronounced histories when it comes to the political abuse of psychiatry. So I think everybody who's really educated in regards to the history of the pharmaceutical industry, mental health, how pharmaceutical, pharmakeia means sorcery, witchcraft, and poisoning. And that's a root word for pharmaceutical. It'd be one thing if it was just, witches make medicine too. But when we see all the other evidence there and the history of psyops and biological warfare, chemical warfare, it's clear that that's obviously not the case, right? There's, these things were used in World War I, World War II, you name it, Israel gasses Palestine, what have you. It's clear, okay? So, then it was like the day before or the day of, there was a bunch of police officers at this one apartment complex. And leading up to that, like 2-3 weeks before that, there was some guy who was in a local gang or something, and he walks out, right? I'm kind of cussing out loud because, I'm mad, and I see this female walk out, and she's got gang colors, whatever, and then she kind of walks around. I'm thinking, I hope she doesn't know, I hope she doesn't think that I'm talking to her, right? And, they got technology that causes me to slip on my words anyway. So then she kind of walks away, and he walks out at some point, and he stares at the sign. and the sign says something like Palomino or something like that. I don't remember. I'm not far away from it, but I'm not gonna bother to go there because people don't kind of watch my videos anyway. And if you call on a tip line, they're just gonna play stupid. And everyone in America kind of enforces the New World Order, if you will. This is like the main center in many ways for the whole New World Order. People here are unreasonable. Some of the most controlled opposition, fake New World Order shells like Alex Jones, William Cooper, they're here in America. And they even killed William Cooper to kind of cover it up more. He even used to be in the military and everything. Okay. So, there's that, right? It all comes together a certain way that makes it clear that this is something that is aimed at me, right? Because we have to look at in terms of patterns. The patterns leading up to it. Okay, why would people working for the military and the government, okay, try to confuse me about that? And then this is a pattern of them trying to confuse me. And there's things leading up to it. Okay, why did they throw in that gang member, and then they had his house be surrounded by police officers? And I have it on camera. It's probably I might just loop it on the screen or something. Had his house being surrounded by police officers. Okay. And this guy, Robert Card, they went to his house or something. He was surrounded by police officers. They didn't find him. They do things like that to make it clear that it's part of a pattern. Then we see the Lewiston Maine, right? The Maine Alpha, right? The New Age talks about the nomad, the one, and oneness. Okay, and of course you have whiteness, you have oneness, and of course there's a bunch of white Freemasons and white Jew and LGBT people harassing me, token minorities are whitewash. I mean, everyone listening to this, I'm sure you all know that I'm right, I can't imagine anyone in America that would think that I'm wrong, because they know that people here play stupid. They know they're groupies, right? They're rock and roll groupies. Some of the main rock and roll groupies in all history here in America. Some of the main squares in all of history here in America. Political groups, Trump fans, right? Liberals, right? The right wing calls them libtards, okay? All the political parties are full of groupies. Flag wavers. This is like the main groupie place on the entire planet. Even North Korea and China doesn't have as much of a submissive population as America does. The females here are 100%, the attractive females at least, 100% control. I guarantee you. We're talking about attractive female above the age of, we'll say 20, to keep it safe and keep it simple. You will not be able to date her unless she has permission to either date you or your type of person. It's that bad here. And they can play stupid all they want, you know what I'm saying? But we know. We don't just know because the military and the police and the sororities who at times only date certain frats. Okay, we know that's who they are to a T. Corporations, that's who they are to a T. They do not budge. In fact, the core word for corporation is corpus, right? Corpus, right? The English say tally-ho, right? They're controlling the females, okay? And a lot of guys here have bent over from the New Orleans. Some of the main gays in the world live here in America, and they kind of channel, they emulate those females who are completely complicit. That's part of their control move. And of course, the governing class, all LGBT people, all of them. Because the ones who don't have LGBT sex, they're so immersed in their corporate partnerships that they may as well be stuffing a kid with a naked gay guy in the room smiling at the same time. Man, it's clear cut. I would never go to the governing class to learn about masculinity, I'll tell you that. And of course, I would never go to anyone else, right? I'm God's son. I'm the pinnacle of masculinity and heterosexuality.